Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I am Rohit Choudhary, the CEO of Acceldata. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Purvi Shah. He is the Vice President of Product Development for Enterprise Data Platforms at American Express. So, Purvi, welcome. It's great to have you with us today.
Rohit, it's my pleasure to be here.
To kick it off, it'll be great for, the CDO Magazine audience to just understand a little bit about, your role at American Express. What do you do? How are you helping, enterprise data at Amex go forward?
Great. So I have been at American Express for 15 years, and my current role is I head the enterprise data products team within American Express. And broadly speaking, it's categorized in three big responsibilities that I have. The first one being leading the enterprise data platforms that includes our big data ecosystem, both what we call Cornerstone, which is our on-prem ecosystem, as well as Lumi, which is our next generation big data platform on the cloud. In addition to that, I also spearhead our business intelligence suite of products. And lastly, the enterprise data management suite of products, which include data quality as a service, data retention, deletion tools, as well as our enterprise catalog for American Express. So really exciting role to serve, the entire enterprise across the globe.
Awesome. It's at the intersection of technology, business enablement, and, obviously a lot of people responsibilities as well, which we'll dive in today. But, if you could just abstract out and talk a little bit about, how your career has gotten to this place in terms of, where did you start? What is your educational background? And, how has, your career led to the place that you're at? That'll be great.
And I actually maybe we'll start with my undergrad was at Penn State University in information science and technology. And from there, that's where I started my love with data, what I would say. My first job within Penn State was to actually look through reams of data from a company called Netscape, if you remember, Rohit. It
Mhm.
was back 20, 25, 30 years ago at this point in time. But looking at the search queries that were presented by the users and understanding patterns so that the search optimization can happen on the Netscape's website. So that was the first job. And that's where I fell in love with understanding data, the complexity behind it, the importance of doing the right level of data management to be able to make sense of it. But from there, I ended up working for a consulting company for a number of years where I supported public sector customers with implementing large scale technology solutions, specifically supporting food stamp implementation, early childcare intervention programs, and things like that. I then got my grad degree from University of Texas McCombs, and then joined American Express in 2010. And within American Express, I've had a wonderful career. I've been part of many different organizations. I've really had the opportunity to look at our technology business to our merchant to our customers. And I've led several interesting products like American Express Offers, which combines bringing relevant offers to our customers while adding value to our merchants at the end of the day.
All of this is great, but here's another question, and this is a thought. We hosted our first customer conference 2 days ago, Autonomous 2025, and I met with a lot of our current customers and a lot of future customers as well, and they're driving direction for what's next for their data platforms and how they're thinking about AI enablement and many of the associated things. The expectation change from their respective consumers or the business. If you were to think about, and look at the crystal ball a little bit and tell us what is sort of, the future of data management looking like, and what kind of skills will you have to continue to learn and adapt given, your, vision for the Lumi platform, that'll be great for us to hear from you.
Yeah. So I think for us, what we're seeing is change is very, very quick. Every day I read news. I'm sure you're reading it, same, Rohit, and your customers are probably telling you the same thing from the conference that changes at the pace that human brain right now is hard to decipher. But what I tell myself and my team is, we have to keep learning. We have to keep being curious. And learning can come in multiple different forms, right? It could come in the traditional form of reading news, getting on a website like LinkedIn to be able to get into LinkedIn Learning. Or it could include things like what you and I are doing, right? The CDO magazine interview to learn from each other in
Indeed.
terms of what is happening in the marketplace And more importantly, how are everybody adapting to it? So there are lessons learned and pitfalls that we can learn and share with each other that can help us grow as a human being, but also more valuable colleague to each of our institutions. So there's a lot of things that we're doing, even within American Express, to help train the task force. So just to bring it back to Lumi specifically, so as a reminder, Lumi is our next gen big data on public cloud, and it's a net new asset for American Express that will really set us up to make sure that we can stay true to our vision of providing best customer service experience to the end of the day, our 140 million customers that we have globally, right? So it's a pretty large constituent. And in that perspective, we've already trained 15,000 of our internal colleagues to be able to understand how to effectively use the new technology and the new product sets that we're delivering.
Could you, comment that that's awesome, because there is like a transformation which comes in every industry, just that, our industry and data has been hit by three major changes, I would say, big data in 2010, 2012 timeframe, cloud transformation in 2018, and now we're all moving towards AI. Could you just comment in terms of, given Amex's huge customer base, one of the best brands on the planet, how are you thinking in terms of, using the AI and machine learning innovation and all the technologies that are going to come in the next 5 years to satisfy, your customer, bring better offers, things like, card member intent, what are people trying to do? Could you just, correlate the role of technology into making the experience of the Amex consumer a lot better?
Yeah. And so in our perspective, data is the heart of everything that we're doing and technology is going to enable it. And fortunately, American Express has been on this journey that I call continuous modernization to provide the best customer experience for a number of years. Even about 15, 20 years ago, we had started seeing big data, as you mentioned, trend come up. So we had invested in creating our card on-prem, which is Cornerstone ecosystem.
Mhm.
That actually helped us enable our what we now consider traditional AI modules. So for things like fraud detection. So American Express is one of the best fraud detection rates in the industry. How do we do that? It's because we're able to bring data on technology that can able to derive insights very quickly and deploy the AI model. So we've been doing that for a number of years already.
Mhm.
And as you think about our evolution into Lumi, as we think about going onto the cloud, that actually unlocks more opportunity for us to use more sophisticated models, Gen AI models, to do everything like fraud detection, even at a greater pace. But more importantly, we're able to understand use cases, for example, where our customer had an intent. We're able to decipher that intent with permissible use of the data that they've provided us to say, hey, I know what you were trying to do, which is maybe get a upgrade on a particular card product, and I will be able to provide you a more relevant real time offer that makes sense for you, right? So it's delighting our customers where they already are for something that they're looking for or seeking. And another example, you mentioned offers. Offers is, a really important and integral part of how American Express delivers value, not only to our customers, but to our merchant business as well. And as you think about that, how do we take the offers that we have within the ecosystem and provide an omni-channel experience? So no matter, Rohit, you may like to log on to the website. I may like able to log on to our mobile app. How do we make sure that the most relevant offer is provided in the right channel at the right time? Is something that we're making sure that we're continuing to do. And Lumi and Gen AI not only helps it, but it helps us accelerate that experience to our customers.
That's great. Last time when you and I spoke, you had given a beautiful analogy that you're running the apartment complex and you have internal stakeholders who are coming in and looking for, shared services. And particularly that becomes even more relevant, as more and more people come looking for data or, applying models or running those models. Could you just help explain that part a little bit? I'm sure that everybody will find it extremely interesting.
Yeah, we're good. So, one of the beautiful things about American Express is we have always recognized the importance of data
Mhm.
and how do we organize it in the right way, in the right technology stack to be able to derive insights faster, to be able to make decisions faster, and to power some of the best experiences for our customers. With that in mind, the apartment analogy really comes to life. This is what I use to explain to my parents, right? Which is I own the apartment building, aka the Lumi platform, where I provide common services like data movement. You can think of that data movement as the elevator from moving from ground zero to the penthouse. Fantastic. And then all of the tenants, aka the data owners within American Express, and we have a lot of data, across the board. How do we make sure that the data owners are able to bring in the right level of data set into their apartment buildings? Now, that's where the beauty of our data management and governance this
Mhm.
comes in, right? If you own an apartment building, you're not going to allow somebody who isn't credit worthy or cannot pay their rent on time into the apartment. Same thing here. We want to make sure that the individual that is bringing the data into the Lumi platform, we understand what that is. We understand the metadata of it. Where can it be used? What are the access controls that we need to have? What are the privacy considerations that we need to have within the ecosystem to make it useful? So the apartment building is the easiest way for me to explain where my role starts and ends, and where the enterprise can benefit from some of these common services, so that not everybody has to create 10 elevators across the board. Data movement can be a seamless thing. How do I access data to derive insights across our 15,000 or so colleagues that use data very, very frequently? How do we make that easier? So, common services, common repeatable patterns, it just makes us stronger, more efficient, and more consistent across the board.
Is there a conversation that we need to have in terms of, getting the data which is existing in the Lumi platform in terms of, its AI readiness and capability from a quality standpoint? Because I think, from a next generation point of view, you talked a little bit about, data governance and, how access control, privilege, security management, privacy will take a huge or, have a huge part in the next generation Lumi platform. But is there a conversation that needs to have uh, to to be had inside the organization, which says, look, we need to rethink the whole AI data readiness yet again, one more time.
Yeah, and I think all of us across the industry, that's a great question, and all of us across the industry are learning about it. We have set up additional processes in place to make sure that the Gen AI use cases that are being opined on, piloted, do make sense, are being done in a way that are not going to cause customer harm intentionally or unintentionally. And we have a lot of rigor in place to make sure that the value of those at the end of the day are meeting the needs of the
Hmm.
customer. And so just to bring that to life a little bit more is it's not only about just deploying any LLM.
Hmm.
We today within American Express have both our internal models that we're using, as well as we're leaning on what is commercially available. Both of those make us stronger because we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to use what is available and accelerate. And in that case, the focus really for us is the end-to-end process and data as being a center of it, to make sure that the data that is being leveraged doesn't have, as we call it, garbage in, garbage out, right? So we want to make sure that the data is of quality. And it's not only about the regular traditional quality, but the accuracy of it, the recency of it, and making sure that the permissions have been provided to be used in that particular use case across the board. So there are a lot of controls that we put in place, Rohit, and we're continuing to strengthen these controls. And within the ecosystem, how does Lumi help? How does our traditional modeling ecosystem work? Is something that we're working to marry together so that we can continue to scale faster.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Purvi. This was a great conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Purvi Shah, the head of data platforms at American Express. It was great having you, Purvi, and I look forward to doing this with you again.
Thanks, Rohit. Great seeing you.